Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Cinephile. This week we are talking about Bull Durham from 1988. Jake, it was your pick this week. Why did we pick this one, and what are your thoughts?
So I picked this one because it is May and we are in full swing of baseball season. I love baseball. I was never any good at it really growing up. I stopped playing in the sixth grade, but I've always liked it. I'm a big Cubs fan, if you can't tell by the Seiya Suzuki shirt. So I thought, it's springtime. We've been watching a lot of baseball, so why not talk about a good baseball movie? I picked Bull Durham. It's probably one of my favorite baseball movies. It's a very, very 80s comedy. But it's really funny. I like it. I really like Kevin Costner in this. It's got Tim Robbins in it, Susan Sarandon. But yeah, this is just it's a movie. Honestly, I saw it like later in my teen years. I was probably like 16, 17 by the time I saw it, but um believe I watched it with my dad the first time. But this is a movie that I quote back and forth with him a lot, especially the lollygaggers line. We quote that quite a bit. So it's a funny movie. I enjoy it, and I don't think you had seen this before this, had you?
No, I had not seen this. This is the first time.
So send it over to you. What are your thoughts? First watch.
Well, I'm really glad you liked this movie. I did not.
I love it. Uh,
I I did not like this movie. I mean, it's
all
look,
right,
it's yeah. I
and that's okay. That it's
yeah, not everybody's gonna like every
yeah.
movie. And that's okay. And I I thought Susan Sarandon's character was so freaking annoying. I think I texted you. I was like, I don't understand why anybody finds her attractive.
You did text me that.
Um,
I don't necessarily agree. Um,
really?
I mean,
Like, stop quoting poetry to act like you're smart. You're not smart. You're like you're
okay,
not.
the
I'm sorry.
character here is a bit much, I will say. Her character
Yeah.
here is a bit much, and it's very much a character and not a person, you know what I mean? I I
Yes.
I, I have a hard time believing that like this is a real person to act like this. But as far as a character, it's definitely unique. And I think she adds a unique that character adds a unique layer, um, a layer to the movie.
Well, it's interesting you say that because the thing that I was going to say is that this movie, in my opinion, struggles with verisimilitude.
I would
Um,
agree.
it's not very believable in pretty much any aspect. Like especially I like Kevin Costner, and actually I think he's pretty good in this.
Mhm.
Um, but what he's excuse me. I'm this is so boring. This movie's so boring. I'm yawning.
Putting him
No.
to sleep.
What I just struggle with the writing. This, if I remember correctly, is directed and written by the same person.
Yeah, Ron Shelton. So this is not his first screenplay, but this is his directorial debut. And actually, he's a former minor league baseball player of all things. So it's funny that you struggle with the verisimilitude with this because it's written by a former minor league baseball player about his. Got a lot of inspiration from his time in minor league baseball. He was, from what I could find, he was with the Orioles farm system. The highest he got was Triple A, so that's one step below the major leagues. Which, speaking of Triple A baseball, the team in here, the Durham Bulls, is an actual Triple A team. They're the Triple A affiliate for the Tampa Bay Rays. It's an actual team. They play,
Hmm.
and they filmed at their facilities.
Well,
So
that makes it really interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I mean, he probably should have stuck with baseball, but yeah, no, I think no. There, especially when you are starting out as a director
mhm.
and you're using your own script. it is hard for you to know when to hold them and know when to fold them,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So like this, it was clear to me that he valued the script a lot.
Yeah.
And that's because he wrote it. And
Mhm.
again, like I'm not, and like I said before, I'm glad you like this movie.
Yeah.
Uh, but coming from a perspective of this was a hard watch, um, it's like it seemed like a nothing burger. Like I wanted more from it because
Okay.
I thought the premise, the concept was good. It was like a good idea
Yeah. This
because, oh, go
go
ahead.
finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, because you're right, especially with baseball, there are a lot of rituals and ways of thinking and a camaraderie that
Hmm.
I think is actually well done in this, is shown very well, but it just lacks that oomph,
Yeah.
which is weird because this movie has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah. This
So
is
I,
like a lot of people really like this movie, especially if you're into sports movies or baseball movies or Kevin Costner. This is a really well liked movie, and you bring up that you don't like the screenplay. This was a nomination. I believe it was a nomination for best original screenplay for the Oscars that year.
you are kidding. No
I go look at
way.
I was on
Hold
IMDb
on.
right before we started this, and I almost because I was like, "Oh, this was nominated for an Oscar," because it doesn't feel like an Oscars movie to me.
It's not.
The
Wait,
be-
I actually can't look it up because this is out of battery.
uh, so
Uh
this movie's so boring. I put your keyboard to sleep.
oh my gosh. No way
Oh
it's nominated.
yeah,
It's like all of the poetry stuff. Like, shut up. Just shut up. When Kevin Costner, he's such an OG, he's literally just like, what do you do? What
yeah,
is your job? She's like, I'm a part-time teacher. It's like, one, you can't afford that house,
yeah.
part-time teaching. Two, you have no sense of style. There's just so much stuff going around. I don't know who was the set designer, but like, bro, like your goal is not to purchase all of Goodwill and put it in one house. Like it's literally
Oh my.
and I really struggle with the relationship between the three main characters. I really buy the relationship between Crash and Nuke.
Hmm.
I buy that relationship. I I also kind of buy the idea that Susan Sarandon's character Annie is trying to like help Nuke in a way.
Hmm.
Um maybe like grow and mature him like that's she feels like that's her like mission.
Yeah.
Um but I do not buy her in Crash.
Mm.
Like I at the very beginning, like shout out to Crash. He's like, look, he had like this kind of like mini monologue
It's a
where
great
he's
monologue.
it's actually yeah, it's good. I like that. He's like, and I don't believe this and this and
Uh-huh.
this and he leaves. And so there's obviously this tension between the two of them, but I just like okay, so he goes over, he's like, all right, I'm done. And Nuke had already left, so let's just like bang for 20 minutes. Like at least 10 minutes of that movie was them making love.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like
there's quite a bit of sex in here.
but like it's not earned in my opinion.
Yeah. Uh, I will say like I would be interested to see this movie if it would have um taken the romance out of it, or taken it tried to make it such a central part of the movie, right? And if this would have just been a straightforward like baseball comedy, almost along the lines
Yeah.
of like Major League, I would be interested to see that, because I do. There are times I watch this, um, and I think I've alluded to this before. Every watching experience I think is different, and you get different things
Hmm.
out of movies every time you watch them. That's why I have a whole bookshelf full of DVDs, because I like to go back and watch movies
Sure.
again and again.
Yeah.
Um, and I think there are times I watch this and I think Susan Sarandon, that love feels more forced. The romance part feels more forced, and then there are some times that it feels um, more natural, maybe. This
Well,
rewatch, I did feel like it was a little more forced. I found myself getting a little annoyed with it at points. So this really, I guess the best way I can sum up this movie is it is a an 80s sports rom-com fever dream.
okay. Yeah.
That's like the best way I
Yeah.
can mash all this together, because you almost get done with this movie and you're just kind of like, what did I watch? You know? Um I come That's a good thing for me. Like, I come out of that being like, wow, what did I watch? Like, and then you think back and process it all and realize um a lot of the dialogue is really, really funny. Uh I like I said, I quote this movie all the time. I love a lot of the lines out of this movie. I actually wrote them down, so
Okay.
you're gonna endure me going through some
No,
of my
look,
favorite quotes.
and like I said, look, and not everybody's gonna love
Yeah,
every movie. Yeah.
but if you don't even love this movie, you have to appreciate how funny some of these lines are. Don't think it can only hurt the ball club. I've definitely used that one
Yeah, that's
many
really
times.
relatable,
Yeah.
actually.
The whole sequence when he keeps shaking him off at the beginning of the film because he wants to throw the heater, uh and he's just, and finally Kevin Costner just looks at the batter and says, Charlie, here comes the deuce, and when you speak of me, speak well.
I know. I like that. I like that one.
The best line of this movie is when the manager throws all the bats in the shower and he says, you lollygag the ball around the infield. You lollygag your way down to first base. You lollygagging it out of the dugout. What does that make you, Larry? Lollygaggers. Lollygaggers. This
Yeah.
is a simple game. You throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball. Best line in the whole movie right there. It, I crack up. Like, I have to stop the movie. I laugh so hard at the whole Larry lollygaggers, lollygaggers.
And he's also in Batman.
Yeah,
Larry is in Batman 1989, and he's kind of like a comic relief in that movie as well. And I got like the same vibe from him.
like,
So this was 1988, so this
mm-hmm.
was right before that. Yeah.
And just Larry, like, I can't understand anything he says when he's yelling from the dugout. One, because he has so much gum in his mouth,
Yeah.
and two, he talks so. Here we go, come on, Larry is just.
Yeah. I
Larry
think
reminds me of some of my little league coaches, honestly. Like, has
uh,
no business coaching baseball, but wants to act the part so bad that he's just there.
like now that you're talking, I think the reason why I didn't like this movie is because I wanted more from it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, that that concept of a character of like kind of an idiot manager,
Yeah.
or an idiot coach. Lean into that a little bit.
Yeah.
I want you to lean it, like you scratch the surface of so many things in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted more. I
Yeah.
wanted more. There's so many lines. Obviously, there's the whole thing about Kevin Costner's character Crash getting the minor league home run record.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a whole thing about that. There's a whole thing about Nuke being a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And then
He
boom, he
has
just
fungus
goes to
on
the
his shower
majors.
shoes. You'll never
Yeah.
make it to the bigs with fungus on your shower shoes.
Which one? How do you survive in society with fungus on your shower shoes? How do you look at those and say, you know what? I'm gonna put my feet in those and then
I
clean my body.
I
How
knew you were gonna.
stupid.
I knew you'd hate that part.
I really did. Because like I always heard that when you have a communal shower that you wear shower shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Um because you could get fungus from
Yeah.
other people and all this. So I wore shower shoes all the freaking time. I can see they've now become my flip-flops
Yeah.
post college. I can see them right there. And you know what's not on them? Fungus.
Fungus.
Where do
Because
you
you're
put those?
clean.
Where do you put your shoes in order for them to somehow get fungus?
Your locker,
Uh,
the bottom of your locker.
Do you not use them every day? What soap do you use? Do you not use soap?
You
The
soak,
soap should
but then
probably clean.
you don't. Here's the thing: if you don't dry them, they just sit and are wet and are in the bottom of your stinky, smelly locker, and that's how they get fungus. I mean, I
Okay.
don't know how many
Okay.
times. I don't know how much you've spent in sports locker rooms in your life, but as someone who's been in more than one, it's not the most clean, especially clean smelling environment. I played football with guys that wouldn't wash their practice jersey out of fear it was bad luck. Now,
That's a whole nother thing with
now,
this
did I
movie.
hold those guys under the water trough at practice when I got so smelly that I wanted to barf? Yes, but you live and you learn, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
it's it's more important to have clean jerseys or clean shower shoes than to be lucky. So
Right. And going off of that, that's a whole nother thing with this movie, the idea of baseball as a religion.
mhm.
I feel like we didn't really touch that very much. Like the movie starts off talking about, I tried Christianity, I tried Buddhism, I tried Taoism, but man, none of them do it for me like baseball. It's like, okay, sure, whatever. And then obviously she goes to every game, and yes, she knows a lot about the game, but
Mhm.
I felt like there could be more mined from these characters. I These are great concepts for
Mhm.
characters,
Yeah.
right? You've got the older, kind of grizzled, pissed off, uh, catcher.
When
You've
the
got
bat
the new
boys
recruit.
when the bad boy
Yeah,
says, "Get a hit, Cress. Shut up."
that was
He just
funny.
tells him to shut up.
He goes, "Shut up."
Some like 11-year-old like small town North Carolina farm boy that like is living out like
Wow, like hi
his dream, like
Crash.
he gets to like be a bat boy for a high AAA affiliate baseball team. There are guys on this team that are going to be professional baseball players. I mean, these are professional baseball players. Some of these guys are going to make it to the show. And he's just like, get a hit, Crash. And Kevin Costner just like crushes like every ounce of joy in his spirit and just says, shut up.
Oh, that kid goes on to be the villain from The Incredibles for sure. Because he
That
goes
is,
like, "Fly home, buddy. I work alone." Like, shut up. Just give me my bat. He's the Incredibles villain. He's
yeah.
Syndrome for AAA baseball. Um, but yeah, there's just so many things I wanted from this movie and I got none of it,
Yeah.
or very little of it, and I think that's where I really struggled.
Yeah. I think, you bring up some valid points. And I think that's where, there are times that I wonder what it would be like to take that romance piece out of it because all the time we spend dealing with, these conflicting, like, who's Annie in love with and, is Crash in love with her? Is Nuke in love with her? Like, who is she with? Like, all the time we spend on that, like, romantic tension and plot. I wonder if we got rid of that, like, or downsized that part of the story. I wonder, things that we just scratched the surface on because, like you bring up, like Crash is like he's in the running to break the minor league home run record. That's
Right.
really kind of an afterthought in the story. Like it gets mentioned a few times, but unless you're truly like paying close attention, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
You know what
Until
I mean?
the end. And
Yeah.
obviously when he gets released, because they don't follow up on that throughout the film. So you're like,
Yeah.
okay, how many home runs has he hit?
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets released, and you're like, okay, excuse me, did he get it or not?
Yeah.
And then he goes, and then we find out, okay, finally he did get it.
Mhm.
But like, let's do a comparison. This movie and Glory Road,
Okay.
right? We've watched both these movies in like the last month. Glory Road is what this movie could have been in a lot of ways, right? It
Okay.
starts out with um these players that don't know how to play together, right? And eventually
Hmm.
learn how to become a team. And this starts off with a pitcher that's very, very talented, but doesn't know how to pitch really.
Hmm.
And one of them, I think, is executed very well, Glory Road. And the other one, it's just too, yeah, they're trying to tackle too many things.
Hmm.
And you don't tackle anything in baseball.
Well, if you get beamed in the head, sometimes you charge the mound, but that's a different story.
Yeah. I also like, you know what's funny? So part of the reason, folks, that I'm yawning a little bit is because last night I played softball. I play softball on Thursday nights with one church. We have a group that we do softball with. We have a team, and I always play catcher. And so I was dying when he said, he goes, I tagged him out. And it looked like he tagged him out.
Yeah.
And then the umpire's like, no, he didn't. Because even last night, I was dealing with that. There's like, when you play slow pitch softball, there's obviously home plate. And then behind it is like a black line, excuse me, like a black extra plate, I guess you would say. It almost looks like if the plate had a cape, and you have to hit the cape. We'll call it
Hmm.
the cape. You have to hit the cape with the ball in order for it to be a strike, even though some of these pitches are definitely hittable. And so last night there was a pitch that was thrown that hit the back of the cape, but it touched the back of the cape. Most of it was on the ground. It hit the back of the black
Yeah.
cape, but some of it did hit it. And the umpire, who was not even where he was supposed to be, was like, that's a ball. And I said, I'm right here. It's a strike. And he goes, no, that was a ball. It hit the back. I was like, I'm closer than you. I said, where are you? You weren't even where you're supposed to be. You were behind the thing. I'm right here. It definitely hit it. Well, I apparently, and so when I get testy, I Jake's like, I don't know, what is he talking about? Is he even awake? Like, what is going
Did you
on with
get
this?
thrown out? I want to know. Did you get thrown out?
No, but when I try and stand up and be like a big macho man, I like freak out. So like I kind of shake, and like even my voice gets a little shaky because like, and I think it's when I know I'm wrong, or that it's either that I know I'm wrong,
He
or that
was
it's like a
wrong.
battle I'm not, like, no, I was right. Or if it's like a battle I know I'm not gonna win,
Hmm.
I I try and puff out my chest, but it's like I'm so hollow inside. Like I don't know how to describe it any other way. That I try and be man and be macho, but I think it's just because of my past and because of my dad. I can't be that, and I can't just like stand up to a bully like that. That's just not how I work. But I get so riled up when it comes to baseball. So, long random story short, I relate to Kevin Costner's character for sure in that moment. Um, and I really like that. But yeah, I kind of even wanted this to be like a Karate Kid in a way.
Hmm.
You've got the
Yeah.
Kevin Costner, Mr. Miyagi, and he's teaching like, and it could have even been him and the Annie character teaming up to kind of teach
Yeah.
Nuke how to pitch.
Hmm.
But that's just not what it was. And
Yeah.
and for what it was, I won't lie to you, the score low key kind of slapped a little bit. But I love jazz so much. And it was
Really.
like that 80s
Yeah.
kind of jazz, kind of it was a mood. It was a vibe. Like and so I mean I like that. But yeah,
That's fair.
this movie, I'm sure everybody watching did not log on today to YouTube and go and watch this podcast to hear me bitch and complain about a movie I didn't like. Um, but
It's
I am trying
fine.
to find no, I'm trying to find at least
Yeah.
a couple of positives because you know, there are parts of this movie that are good. I also another thing I didn't like was the inner monologue. You got to be real careful with those
Yeah.
because yeah, he's up to the plate, but I don't want to hear, "Come on, meat, throw me the cheese, meat." I'm gonna hit the cheese. Whatever the hell he said. Like he kept saying it, and so I think when I was watching that, what came to mind, and I by the end of the film, I might not agree with this fully anymore, but when I watched that, I really thought of doing something like that, like an inner monologue. I think shows a lack of writing talent
Hmm.
because or a lack of direction because you're not able to get the actor to emote that scene where
Hmm.
you can guess what he's thinking.
Hmm.
That's not always the
Interesting.
case, but and by the end of the film, like I kind of got it a little bit,
Yeah.
but that, in my opinion, is definitely something that a maybe a better director would have been able to get more out of these characters. Obviously, Kevin Costner's a great actor, so
Yeah.
he's really good in this. But even Tim Robbins, who he annoyed the crap out of me. How stupid can you be?
Nuke's
Like
pretty
I
stupid.
when they called him, he said he had a 5 cent head. That was funny because he got $1 million arm and a 5 cent head. It's like, yep, yes, sir. That is true. That is what he has.
Nuke is quite dumb. And
Yeah,
to be called Nuke, like, what?
it's because his arm is like really
No,
strong.
I get it, but like even that was just like it reminded me it reminded me of
If you're gonna say Hiroshima, I swear
no.
I'm leaving. Okay, cool.
It reminded me of Guardians 2 actually
Okay.
because when they do the mutiny of Yandu's ship
Are you gonna
and the
say
guy
Taserface?
and yeah, Taserface. And it's just like it's one of those things that like when you're alone or like with your like buddies and like you're all drinking and like you come up with like, oh yeah, this would be a cool like villain name, this would be a cool like nickname. And then you actually say it out loud to someone and they want them to take you seriously by that name. Like it's just dumb.
Yeah, that's a really stupid name. It's a really stupid name.
Yeah.
I It is funny though. Like Tim Robbins, man, this dude was in Shawshank Redemption, one of the greatest films of all time.
I
And then
definitely
he's
think
acting like an absolute doofus on the mound with the last name Lelouch.
so. What is this? Is this remind me, when is Shawshank?
Early
91?
90s.
91, I was gonna say.
91 sound either 91 or 93.
Yeah. So this is like less than 10 years away from Shawshank.
Yeah.
And I can't think of two like more separated performances.
Yeah. One's Oscar worthy, the other one is Razzie worthy. Also, he's like 1 billion feet tall.
He is tall, yeah.
He's so freaking tall. And Susan Sarandon, we haven't even gotten to Susan Sarandon yet, but she's
Oh, I
so
think you got
short.
there. I think you got there.
No, well, because I texted you and I said, how would anybody find her attractive?
You did text me that.
And your response was, what was wrong with her teeth?
Because you I'm going to expose you here a little bit because you brought it
Yeah,
up. I
yeah,
wasn't going to
yeah.
bring it up,
I
but you
no,
brought it up.
I did this on
Ben
purpose.
has this strange thing where like he's obsessed with a girl's teeth. Like they have to be like
Yeah, elaborate on
perfect.
that because
They
that sounds like Jeffrey Dahmer,
they
OJ
have
Simpson kind of
there it is.
obsession.
I knew it. I knew it. I was like, he's gonna work at OJ here. I knew it.
I did it.
You are you always say that like the first thing you notice in a girl is her smile. And if she
Yes.
doesn't have like I'm not even going to say perfect teeth, because like there are times that like
Yeah.
you we've brought up women with like, perfect smiles, like, had braces or like didn't need braces, like perfect teeth, but like there's something off about it. Like you'll be like, too much gum, or she has too many teeth. And I'm like,
That is too many teeth.
so
She kept
naturally,
putting more in. It's weird.
naturally, when you said you didn't find her attractive, I text you that, and then I start looking at pictures of Susan Sarandon and being like, what's wrong with her teeth? If Ben doesn't think she's attractive, what's wrong with her teeth?
And look, I have to preface, and I say I'm not walking around saying, you are a, this isn't like you're what is it, plebeian, and you're a patrician, like that. I'm not saying like you're a lower class because of your smile. That's not what I'm saying.
You got
But
fucking Chip Skylark out here.
yeah, that is something that I notice. If you don't take good care of your teeth, that, yeah. So I'm not gonna. I don't need to elaborate on that. That's why the pandemic was so hard for dating. Because all the masks hid everybody's teeth, and then I didn't know, and then I would look people up and then see, oh, they don't have teeth.
They don't have teeth. What are you on? Farmers only?
Down home. No.
City folk just don't
Just
get
call me
it.
Bob Evans. No. Anyway. Uh uh Good lord. This is gonna be like a 20-minute episode. We're gonna have to cut so much of this out. But no, she looks old. Like she looks old. She's like a six. And she's apparently laid like the whole team. Like Millie, flip the characters. I'm okay with that. Also, shout out to that dude who goes, do you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ? And then she goes, no. And then they found out like they've been dating for like a month, and
They
he
get
already
married.
engaged. And like what an OG right there. That dude's a legend. He
Yeah.
said that's how you start it, folks. That is how you start it. You ask, you somehow bring up Jesus in a conversation, and if they don't like start talking about how much they love Jesus, you're like, all right, check please.
But that's literally not what Jimmy does. She says no, and he says, "Well, can I introduce you to him?" And she's like, "You can introduce me to anybody you want
Anyone or
here."
somebody, yeah. Oh,
Something like
well,
that.
yeah, but I mean, Jake, you and I have talked about missionary dating. That's not,
Yeah.
we have to be equally yoked. And
And
I'm
welcome to
not talking
church.
about eggs.
Welcome to church with Pastor Ben.
Yeah, no, we have to be. What was it? Stay in your lane. Remember in
Yes.
college. Remember in college, we had a Bible study, and Jake and I were there. And was it you that said,
Yes, because okay,
you're like, just stay in your lane?
I don't know how we got on Christian dating advice. But since we're here,
I don't have any baseball dating advice, so it's
I had a pastor talk. He was giving a sermon about um relationships, and the scripture, it was, I don't remember where it's from. It's one of Paul's letters, but it's about running the race that's set out before you.
sure.
And my pastor was a former cross in high school. He ran cross country, and he ran long distance for track. And he made the analogy about running in your lanes. And in distance meets, after you go one lap around the track, and then you get to cut down. Get cut down in the first lane. Like you start out in your 8 lanes, and then you get to cut down once you reach a certain point. And he talked about how we're supposed to run the race set out before us, and when the lanes merge, and you can and you're when you're pursuing Jesus, and your lane merges with someone else, and you're both pursuing Jesus, that's how like that's found the one, or you found someone
Right.
you marry, etc., etc. So, Ben liked to end Bible study with talking about girls he was interested in, or girls he had been talking to. You brought this up, so you should have known this is where it was going. Um,
Welcome
and
to the Exposed podcast, where we expose Ben.
and
Um,
I start.
and this is like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes, yes, we've grown up since then
Yes.
a little bit. Um, and I kept saying I kind of got tired of hearing about different girl every couple of weeks, and so I told this story one week at Bible study, and you were going into talking about this girl you've been talking to, and I was like, "Have your lanes merged?"
Yeah.
And that became like our battle cry every time you started talking about a girl. Was everyone at Bible study would say, "Have your lanes merged?"
Yep. And to this day, no lanes have merged.
Still running that one way street, huh?
Still running that. Yeah. Yeah. The
One
1600 is getting pretty long.
one lane street.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been Exposed Ben Hour with Ben and Jake. But now is the time that we are going to talk about our rose, bud, and thorn. So, Jake, what are your rose, bud, and thorn?
So my rose, I got two roses here. One is Kevin Costner. We've talked about this a little bit already, but I think he has the standout performance in this whole movie. He carries it very well. He injects a lot of situational humor through just who his character is and bullying, really. Um,
Yeah.
bullying Tim Robbins' character. He Crash very much bullies Nuke in trying to, very much kind of the sportsy kind of tear him down so you can build him back up stronger kind of way. But like there's so much humor through that character, and yet he doesn't tell a joke the entire time. He never tries to be funny. And so I think he pulls that off very well. And whether you like the romance triangle in this or not, I think he also plays those scenes really well.
I do
Right?
too. Mm-hmm.
The way he dispatches Annie at the really kind of their first meeting, if you will, and like the way he deals with Annie throughout the whole movie really cuts through her BS, and I think he plays, he equally plays the funny baseball scenes as well. He plays those just as well as he plays the serious romantic scenes. Um, so I think he's definitely the standout performance. And then my other rose is going to go to the dialogue, because as you've seen, this movie is so quotable to me. There's so many good lines in this. I mean, we didn't even talk about the candlesticks meeting on the mound.
No, that was
That right there. Larry, find out what the hell's going on out there. Okay, guys, what the hell's going on out here? And then goes.
That's not a bad impression of him, actually. Well,
like,
and like I liked that.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of clever, but I don't know. It just kind of fell flat. Like I wanted it to be funnier than it was.
It's pretty funny. I think it's funny at least.
And and if you think it's funny like that, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Like yeah.
Candlesticks are always a nice gift. Maybe find out where she's registered. Maybe a place.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, let's turn two. But no, I think this movie is just so quotable. It's so funny. So I have to give a rose to the dialogue. My bud, it's interesting that you point out that you like the score, because my bud is the music. So now I'm saying that is the
score and the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is what I was looking for. Thank you. Just because I felt like there was a disconnect between really, score to score moments and then score to soundtrack moments, right? Looking at all the music, I felt like the romance scenes, we had this like very 80s like smooth jazz that almost, I know you don't really care for the Blade Runner score, but it almost reminded me of the Blade Runner score a little bit.
It was, you know what? Yeah.
The sax heavy.
Yeah, it really is Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I think it works way better here than in Blade Runner.
Going from that to then we had some very like 50s, early 60s, like
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. Like a lot of like player piano in them, and I don't know. For me, I just kind of like it felt like we're kind of going all over the place, and I also felt like there may be some times that the score was a little heavy-handed. It got a little too sentimental, a little too sappy for me, which
Mm.
I think there are times that the movie in general gets a little too sentimental. Um, so that's gonna be my bud. There were times I liked it, and then I like them individually, but when you put them all together in the same
Together,
movie,
yeah.
I was just kind of like, we've lost our not say move, we've lost our style. I thought it didn't really
Mm.
have a sense
Hmm.
of style. Then my thorn is going to be the title. This is the dumbest title of a movie maybe ever. It's up there. Like
Yeah, I don't think it makes any sense.
the longest time, like people would like reference Bull Durham, and I'm like, Bull Durham. What the hell is a Bull Durham?
It sounds
And
like a
like,
lawyer movie,
yeah, it
doesn't
does.
it? Yeah.
But then like when you realize that all it is they just took the team name, the Durham Bulls, and
And flipped it.
flipped it. I'm like, so dumb, and it tells me nothing about this movie going into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my thorn. I've always thought the title's dumb, and I probably always will think the title's dumb. Um, Ben, do you even have a rose, or is we just all bloods and thorns here?
Okay. I do have a rose. I do have a rose. I think Kevin Costner is really good in this. He's just a great actor. I heard he's a jerk, but he's a great actor.
Yeah, they're not.
And
They may not ever restart Yellowstone season 5 because he and Taylor
well,
Sheridan.
Yellowstone season 5 is the end.
It's
They're
gonna
not
be
going to
the end,
continue on.
but they've been on a cliffhanger. There's like a mid-season cliffhanger that they've been on, and they haven't come back from it because there's been such a big feud between Taylor Sheridan, the creator and showrunner, and Kevin Costner.
Because Kevin Costner's like, I only want to work 1 day a week for 6 hours, and you're going to pay me like I work every day.
But he's
Like, what?
brilliant, and
Yeah, he's really good.
there are some roles that people think he's brilliant, and I don't necessarily see it, but I think this is one of his best early roles. I think.
I agree. He's very charismatic. No, I believed him. He was
Mhm.
believable. And for this movie, I think that's saying something.
Yeah.
Um, so that's my rose. My bud is the whole concept. Like I said before, I think there are some pieces here that, with the right creative team behind it, could have made it really, really interesting. It
Mhm.
could have been funnier for me, in my
Mhm.
opinion, funnier. Um, it could have had more stakes because why do we even care about what are we supposed to care about?
Yeah.
Are we supposed to care about the Durham Bulls record? Because we don't really hear it very much. Obviously, we hear when they're like a 1-8 or whatever, and then they go on this winning streak, and then they're second in the league or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
am I supposed to care about that? Am I supposed to think of Susan Sarandon's Annie character as like this wizard in a way, like this baseball guru that sleeps with men and as a part of her way of fixing them to be major league players? Am I supposed to look at, is this supposed to be a character study of some of these baseball players that they're really stupid, but they're really talented? Like there's so many different pieces there that I wanted more from even just one piece. If you would have just highlighted one piece,
Mhm.
and then I could have been like, okay, this is a movie about that. But this just kind of felt like a thing.
Yeah.
So that is my my bud. My thorn, I have two thorns. One, I agree. The name of this movie is stupid. But also calling it Durham Bulls would have been worse somehow.
Yeah.
It would have been like significantly worse. And I don't know, that's like saying like like Colt Indianapolis. And
Yeah.
then like the movie's called Indianapolis Colt. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Would you watch a movie called Indianapolis Colt?
You would. I
It,
probably wouldn't.
I would, and it probably would star like Nicolas Cage. Like I don't know, like something Nicolas Cage would
You
be in.
see, we just gotta draft Peyton Manning.
Yeah. That wasn't bad either. You're doing good on your impressions today. 2 for 2.
Thanks.
Um, and my second thorn is the director. I would have liked to have seen him be a producer on this.
Yeah.
Considering you telling me, okay, he was like a part of the minor leagues, AAA. Great. I want you to be a producer on this, but I don't want you to direct it.
I think
Um,
I'm going to speculate here and say that he wanted to write a movie about his what it was like playing in the minor leagues. And I think, he took a whole 5-year career and tried to condense it into one movie.
yeah,
And I think it just ended up being too many things all
it's
over the
hard. That's
place.
hard to do.
Yeah.
Like even for an experienced screenwriter, taking
Yeah.
5 years and everything you know about it and being like, I want this to just ooze baseball and like inside baseball.
Yeah.
In a way, I want this to ooze that, and that is very hard to do.
Yeah.
Like even some of the greats can't even do.
No, yeah, I'd agree.
So those are my rosebuds and thorn, but I did have a rose. I did.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we get to discuss who we think each other are. Jake, who do you think I am? And then I will say who I think you are.
So you mentioned how much you like the character's name is Jimmy, but the Bible thumper guy that asks oh, I can't even think of her name, not Annie, the
Millie.
other girl. Millie, thank you. I want to say Mary, I knew that was wrong. Ask Millie if she's met our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And that's you.
Yeah, I pull that. I like it,
100%, that is you.
especially when it comes to dating. I like trying to figure out really early on in getting to know somebody if they love Jesus.
Yes.
Because then I can differentiate between.
And there's
okay,
nothing wrong with that. I don't
yeah,
want to.
yeah.
I don't want to make it sound like like.
And if you don't love, and if you're watching this and you don't love Jesus, that's totally fine too. What I'm saying is that I know for me,
yeah,
that is something that is very important to me. So that's where I differentiate between, okay, I want to be friends with this person, or I think this could be something more. So that's what I'm saying when we talk about it. It's nothing discriminatory or like in a negative way. Like if you believe, if you are a Jew, Judaism, or a Buddhist or something like that, that's okay. That's okay. That's not what I believe. It's okay that you believe something. It's just I don't think that we would be a good match dating wise. So that's what I'm kind of getting at here, and that's what Jake's getting at as well. That's I kind of am like that, where it's like, so do you know Jesus?
If you had an opening questionnaire, shall we say, if you ever went to speed dating and you had a list of questions you were going to ask a girl, the first one would be, do you know Jesus?
Or do you like sand? I hate sand. I don't like sand.
And rough.
Coarse and rough.
It's
Not like you.
everywhere.
You're soft and smooth. Riz 100. Anakin has so much Riz. It's not even funny. Like,
I hate that you said Riz.
He's the Wizard of Oz. Anyway,
Who am
for
I?
me, I can't remember. Is it Larry?
Larry's the assistant coach. He's the one that does all the. He's the one that's got the big water gun and he's trots out there.
Yeah,
what the hell's going on out here?
He just kind of reminded me. Like sometimes when I watch movies like that, I'm like, this is a character I know Jake's gonna like. So in this instance, it reminds me of you because I know you find this character very fun.
He is very fun.
But overall, Jake, I know you like this movie.
Yeah, and okay, I've been ragging on you because you don't like this movie. That is
I feel like a dick because I don't like
no, this movie. You're fine. You are fine. It's okay not to like a movie. I mean, we've watched movies on here that I wasn't the biggest fan of, right? But there's if you don't understand what I'm getting at, go back and watch the John Wick movies on kind of a prickle puss in those.
No shit.
Or the John Wick episodes, not the movies. I mean, go watch them if you want.
Yeah.
But you've been a good sport about this, and I think it has been a good conversation. I think we pulled
No,
out
I
a
think
lot
it's
of
been a great
takes,
conversation, actually. Yeah.
and I think you've helped me look at this movie in a less nostalgic and maybe a little more critical way. And I understand where you're coming from on a lot of things, and so not every movie's going to resonate with people the same way, and not everyone's going to like everything, and that's okay. That's why they make movies for more than one person to go see, right? If everyone liked every
Right.
movie, life would suck.
Yeah. Now everybody should like Star Wars, but that's like a whole nother conversation for another
That's
time.
yeah.
But
That's
like
the
Space
second.
Jam,
That's the
Space
second.
Jam is very nostalgic. It's an
Yes.
awesome movie, but it is not a good movie. Michael Jordan should play basketball. He should not act. But yet it has that nostalgia factor. This is a very similar thing, especially for you, right? It's very
Mhm.
nostalgic. It doesn't mean that this movie is, well, apparently it was Oscar worthy, but doesn't mean that this movie is like the greatest movie of all time, but it has that nostalgia for you. And
Yeah.
I respect that. For me, this is not a movie I'm going to watch again. Unless with conditions. Like if we were to ever do like movie commentaries,
Hmm.
if this channel were to ever get big enough that we do movie commentaries, I would do a movie commentary on this with you, but I'd do a movie commentary on anything.
Yeah.
So with you. So that's the only way I would watch this again. It's like the movie Wendy and Lucy. I hate that movie so freaking much. It's a 90-minute disaster. I will never watch it again. I actually won't even do a commentary on it. It's so stupid. So it's with Michelle Williams. I want to say 2011, but that's just a random guess as to when that was. It's Michelle Williams and a dog, and it's just it ain't it. I can't even remember who's Wendy and who's Lucy. I can't. I is the dog Wendy? Is the dog Lucy? I don't know. I don't care. It's just not good. So this movie is one that I do like Kevin Costner's performance, and if I could just watch all Kevin Costner scenes spliced together, I'd watch it. But it's not a movie I'm gonna watch again.
It's okay.
But the question is, what do you folks think? Did you like this movie? Did you not? Let us know your full review in the comments down below. And make sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, ringing that bell to get all notifications on upcoming content. We have plenty more for you to watch. You can check some more out on the channel, and we will be back next week talking about movies just like every week. If you like what you see here, make sure to follow us on social media. Follow me and Jake and the Cinephile on Instagram. Links will be in the description or somewhere around here. But for Jake Biller, I'm Ben Sparrow. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week. And cut.